Well, shoot. Let's start over here. Let's get out the reference page here. I am busy doing pickup work last couple videos here. These actually have RO numbers attached to them. This is RO number 40 and RO number 41. These things all come from one other guy. He had an SB220 that we just did for him not too long ago. And he was like, we gotta get the SB220 done first. These other two can wait. And well, here we are. We're at the end of things. I've got to get these out of here. So this is a 667 that has had some notable modifications done to it. I'm going to return him these tins, but what's he going to do? He's going to call up our buddy Frank Beard, and Beard Customs is going to build him a new fan kit for it. So let's go around in a circle, take a quick look at it. Underneath this electrical tape is 2 wire nuts, where they took the wire, they split it, the wire nutted it, and then taped it all together. This is also the 2 wire nut combo that I only show this to you as an example of how not to do things, just by the way. And then we'll go look at the inside of things here. So let's take a second and just unwrap the wire. That is never the way to do this. But it worked, right? I'm sure the wire nuts aren't deformed. So it managed to get the 100 amps worth of peak current through these connectors. The bread tie I find is awesome. This is what's holding our fan kit wire down. That is a creative workaround solution. It really is. I take my hat off to the guy that came up with that. That's kind of cool. Inside here, we've already disconnected our ground lead, and this is hooked up to our positive side, and they were hooked up to this thermocouple, which there is no thermal paste between the thermal switch, but still that's better than what it was. This comes out of a Texas Star, and they mount them on the board, which universally bad. This whole system is designed so that when you turn the amplifier on, or if the amp ever gets hot enough, the fans kick on and they run until the amp's cooled off and then the fan shut off. It's a great idea, and in theory it's not turned out that well in practice, but we're going to pull this out of here since he's not going to use these. And this fan's got a thyristor in it, so it changes its speed based on air temperature. That's kind of cool. We're not going to use those for anything. We're going to go through this 667. Now, I just had a Texas Star 500 come through here that was the hottest as far as watts go and drive input goes and output power that I've ever had come through here. It was epic on the first order. It would do like 1,000 watts plus. And its input tune wasn't that bad. And it was a hot amp. So I sat down, took a bunch of notes on that, and we're going to try to pass some of that along to this amplifier as well. This has got 4 Toshibas getting driven by one 2290, which is perfect. The power wire system in here leaves a lot to be desired. It's very dirty. This coax is not what we like to see in there anymore. We like to see 316. Has a tendency to last a little bit longer. At least our coax connector center pins are tight. So we're just going to go through, we're going to clean this up, we're going to change out a couple parts in it, clean it up, then we'll do the power wire upgrade and get it running, and then we'll go do the upgrades to it and see if we can get it to jump up any. I've had quite a few people call me, hey, what's the mods? Can you do that to a 667? I don't know yet. I haven't had a chance to emulate it yet. Over here is a Palomar Elite 550. It's got green dot Motorola something or others in it that are obviously aftermarket because this has been reworked a couple times. He wants me to put the driver section on a switch, which I've never done one in a Palomar, and I don't even know if it's possible, but we're going to give it a good whack. He wants to abandon the preamp switch because he doesn't use that shit anymore, as he puts it. And we're going to use the preamp switch to drive the relay. I'll probably put the relay somewhere in here because it's about the only place we have room, and we'll try it. I'm going to give this a shot. I've never done this before. We'll see. But Palomar Elite, and then we're going to do some obvious power distribution upgrades, and yeah, go in here and clean up some of the solder work, which is a little questionable, would be the best way to put it. So we'll set this aside for now. We'll slide this up over here in the corner. This was a parts amplifier that he sent up. This is a, I think, Pride 175. Could be wrong, could be right, don't know, don't care. He's given me this set of MRF 454 transistors that are in here. Once again, you gotta admire the solder work, right? Just saying. You gotta admire this solder work that I'm gonna get ready to take out of here. Look at that beauty. Woo, that's pretty. So, let's strip it down. First we'll blow it out, then we'll wash it down, then we'll blow it out again, and yeah, we'll do all the fun fancy bits. Change this out, get this all going. Then we're gonna run it. That way we can see where we're at and we get a baseline for it. And then we're gonna change some parts around and see if we can get the magic of that other amp to translate over to these things. You don't know till you try. Never be afraid to try. And if you do try, don't ever be afraid to fail on camera, is my mantra. This is getting pulled out, and we're going to set him up for the fan kit that he's going to get from Beard Customs. Okay, I think I covered everything. Away we go. All right, so, there we go. Coax wire upgraded, power distribution system upgraded for the most part, and I couldn't help myself because I had access to the caps, so I went ahead and I changed 2 caps. We normally see these peter out about 700 watts, so let's go over here. We're going to have to use a full gambit of meters now. Let's go ahead and we'll shut the amp off. And we've got our dead key at 1 watt. But turn this back around the other direction. 1 watt dead key gets us a 400 watt. 1 watt dead key going in gets us a 400 watt carrier coming out the ass end of things here. Yeah, you saw that right? Oh, 900 watts. 900 watts out of a 667. 875, 900 watts. By changing 2 capacitors. Preamp is working. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. Well, here, hold on. Let's back this off. So now we've seen the numbers. I'm not done yet. Okay, so the preamp transistor is dead. Thought it was working, it is not. We'll get that fixed here in a minute. Let's go ahead and we'll try the AM attenuation pad. So that knocked our carrier down from 400 watts dead to about 180 watts dead. And that's with the bench 2950 hitting it that only does about 22 watts. Variable's all the way open. Still makes 800 watts. So we'll go ahead and we'll bring the sideband pad in, which should get a sideband delay, which it does. About 750. All the way open. 900 watts. We're changing 2 caps. All right, so now it's time to go over and get out the giant black book of knowledge. as I write everything down. This particular situation, I took a ton of notes. Well, these are right. These are right. I want to check this and this and change that there. Give me a minute. Let's see if we can squeak just a little bit more out of this. You guys missed it. I turned the camera off and I set the mic down, and the 1.8 ohm resistor back here for the bias went, and then the 210 ohmers. I mean, smoke galore. I think that resistor on the bias failed myself, but we put 2 new transistors back in it. I went ahead and I changed a couple more capacitors, and this is what we have for an end result on 15 volts flat. So remember, this is a 667, right? About 880 watts. And that's about as far as I want to take it. Now, what I want to do also is, let me reach down here, I'm going to shut the power supply off. So that means we got to wait for the super capacitors to calm down and the LTO batteries to stable out and all that other kind of stuff. This is what I want to show you. This is with a 400 watt carrier, by the way. That's the radio. That's the amp. This second order harmonic is still 47 dBs down, right? So we're not going to worry about that. It's well within acceptable limits. And that's straight up at a 400 watt carrier. Okay. So let's jump over here. And this is the ICOM radio. And this is just what's bleeding off the workbench into the atmosphere, right? It's clean. It's not all over the place. That's the point. I'm all about making a box do more, but only if it's real power and it's on frequency, right? And what's the point of making it do more watts if it's all over the place? I mean, I could drop some names in there that these guys, they don't own a spectrum analyzer and they don't bother to look at such things. And all they care about is, look, I made it do more on the bird meter. You can make it do more. It's just got to be all on frequency. If it's not, it's wasted. And you're going to end up having SWR issues and all kinds of problems down the road. Okay, so now we've let this thing relax. We're down around 12 volts. I want to see what it does on 12 volts. I bet it's just about 400, 500 watts, which is actually really good because most 667s, they peter out at about 700 watts, as we all know, right? But on 12 volts, they're usually 350, 400 watts. Hello, hello, hello. 600 watts peak on 12 watts, or 12 volts. Hello. Hello. 1111. 1111. Oh, the 1kW667. You feed this 15 volts, it'll make 900 plus watts out of a 667. I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like I'm buying myself a third job. So do I get to keep a secret to myself on how we get this to do it? Because I seen this done with a 500 the other day. I took that $500 apart and studied it. And now I've recreated it with a 667. We'll see. Okay, the only thing I got left to do this is I want to fix the preamp real fast, which all I got to do is change the transistor out, so we'll get that done. fixed. And that's what that new, or not new, it's like 8-year-old technology at this point. Low noise transistor, so you're not going to get a huge, it's just, okay, fixed. Gentlemen, the 1KW667. The only thing I've left to do for this is to get him an auxiliary wire that comes off the switch and goes out the back, which won't take no time at all. Simple. Simple. Okay. So moving on here, we went ahead and hooked up the fan on-off switch and wired this up for you, ran it out through a grommet. So you have these nice high temp Teflon wires to be able to hook into your switch or hook into the fan, however you want to wire it. I went ahead and put the 632 crush nuts to make it so that you can work with your beard amp fan kit. But faceplate cleaned up pretty good. Got the heatsink all cleaned up and cleaned out for you. Got the back all cleaned off. Solid power wires now that you can put any kind of adapter on it you want. And I'm done. 1000 watt 667 is done. Now, is that repeatable onto another 667? I don't know. We'll try it, just not today. Back onto this project, which is it's going to be interesting. Never done one of these before in this way. I've done many of these amps. I've never had anybody request putting a switchable drive transistor so I can switch the drive transistor in and out. So we took the amp apart, and I'm absolutely not surprised by the amount of shit that's underneath the board. Hunks of solder everywhere, you know, the huge. So that's more solder. We'll clean this out before we put it back, and then in turn we'll also clean off all the transistor feed. So our RF comes in from this relay. It's got a coupled capacitor in line. It comes in from the relay here, runs through this capacitor, then it runs down to this solder trace. And then it hits this resistor as its first point of attenuation for the driver section. Then I got your low, medium, and high selectors here. This capacitor is your input tune between these two caps. You can increase and decrease this value. It'll adjust it a little bit, but primarily your input tune capacitance is here. Then in turn, they run that through a resistor and another resistor back to ground, and then we have yet another tuning capacitor that we can do more adjustment with. We're going to leave that alone for now. This is our input side, which is fed from this solid wire here. Sorry, this solid wire here. The output side comes down, goes to this trace, and it pops up, and it comes to this combiner. So, by us utilizing this trace here on the top, all I got to do is come in here in a Dremel and cut this trace down the middle, okay, and hook up a piece of coax, 316 coax, and run it out and bring it up through the front side of the amplifier. So I can pin on, I can grab right here. I can pin on and grab right here the return. So the placement of our relay will be perfect, and it can sit right here on the board. We'll probably use one of these little guys to do the dirty work. So I'll make up the 316 coax. We're gonna just cut this trace, and we'll have the RF come out and go up through a piece of 316 that we can switch in and out at the relay. Beauty of this amp is we have another separate Arco adjustment right here for the input of the 4-pill section. Most of these do not have this adjustment in it. It's a fixed value capacitor. And then we've got 100 picofarad worth of fixed capacitance already in the circuit. So we'll throw this here. Then all I got to do is run a wire off the on-off switch here over to this relay. So we'll take 12 volt, and we'll probably, since we're going to abandon the preamp here, this will now become on. I'll probably make it so that the driver section is in play. Off, we'll make it just a straight 4-pill. that makes any sense. So we'll switch ground. We'll make the relay in the relaxed position because this guy's intention is he's going to drive it with one of his strikers. I don't know how well that's going to work out for him, being the striker SWR bridge is shit. But so we'll tie one leg of the relay to ground, the other one we'll loop it back here to this switch for hot, and then we'll take a wire and we'll just simply go over to the on-off switch. As soon as you turn this on, then it'll actually engage the driver section. And we'll make it so the RF goes back here, and then the piece of coax that comes from here up to the relay, and then to here will get tied together through the relay. Very simple. Okay, let's actually do all that stuff now. Yay! So the 2-pill switchable driver section's in. Had to add quite a bit of inductor here to get this to lay down and have a good input tune, but was never able to get a good input tune out of it. And then I start thinking, what does this thing look like on the spectrum analyzer? So we'll shut the amp off. We're using the derail striker 955 today. We're going to take a look at this. So this is just the 4-pill section by itself. So that's the radio at 0111111. Nice and clean. Here's the amplifier. Shit, wrong switch, here we go. Amplifier. Isn't that impressive? I mean, just the lower we go in carrier, the grosser this thing gets. And it's making all kinds of weird noises. Here is, and we're on 12 volts by the way. Hello, 1212. If you want to see something really scary, I'll show you how really dirty this amplifier is. Ready? Radio, hello 1111. Amplifier, hello 11111111111111. Yeah. That's just leakage that's coming out of the case of the amplifier into the dummy load. It's bad. I told the customer, I said, I want to put the driver section back in play. I want to take the switchables BS out of this amplifier, and I cut my losses on it because I would spend probably another 4 or 5 hours trying to figure this out and get the noise out of it. This amplifier, I have got more time in it than what the amplifier's worth. And he goes, that's fine. He goes, I don't want to deal with it. And I said, great, I don't want to deal with it either. So we're going to walk away. We're going to take our 1000 watt 667 and we're going to take our happy asses and we're going to mosey on down the road. So before we go any further, let me pull all this relay bullshit out of here. I'm going to hook the preamp back up, hook the driver section back up just the way it was supposed to be, and we'll get him running. Give me a second. Give me just a minute. Okay, so all that switchable garbage is out of here. I hooked the preamp back up, so let's see here. It's on, off, on. Typical Palomar preamp. Okay, let's go over here. Let's take a look at this. It's a 1000 watt slug-in forward and peak, right? 1000 average, 10,000 watt dummy load, blah, blah, blah. I've heard it all a million times. If you've ever watched one of the YouTube videos, you heard me say it before. Here's radio drive. Hello, 121212, about 22 watts. Hold on to your underwear, boys and girls. Because remember, this has got 454s in it, right? Hello, 11111. This box does really good for what it is on the watt meter. Hello, 1212. 250 bird, 700 watts peak. So let's go to low. Hello, 11111, about 650, go to medium, Hello, 1111, right at 7, and then back on high. Hello, 1, 2. Let's pan over here to the tell-all box. Radio. Amplifier. Hello, 1, 1. Hello, 1, 1. Looks a whole lot better on the spectrum analyzer, but it's still incredibly dirty. And I'd say at least over 100 watts of that's off frequency. Let's go look at it getting sniffed off the air here real quick. Okay. So, radio, hello, 1, 2, 1, 2. Amplifier, hello, 1, 2. She's a bleeding girl. She's a bleeder. Look, the reason I'm showing all this is not because I'm trying to brag, or I think it's cool, or funny, or any of that stuff. The customer doesn't want to put the time in it, and I'm kind of done dicking with this box. The whole put a driver section switchable in this amp, not the greatest idea. And I spent quite a great deal of time trying to make that happen, but make it happen cleanly, and I can't. There's a lot more inside of here that I needed to do to make it go that way, and he doesn't want to spend the money, and I get it. I get it. This is maybe a $200 or $300 amplifier, and I probably got $500 worth of time in it, if not more, right? So we're gonna walk. But I need the owner to understand that this is really nothing that we want to run on the air because of all the second and third order and fourth order. But if you do choose to use it, just understand what you're getting into. It is fully functional. All the switches do everything they're supposed to do. It will last. I changed out the power wire that was in this thing, and I put a grommet around the wires. Didn't have that before, I'm just saying. So I am gonna slide the aluminum skid plate back in here. The hardware that was in the back of this thing was all stripped out, so I'm gonna give you some new screws back here to hold this together, but this is where I stop. All I know is I was able to replicate the 1,000-watt Texas Star 500 with a 667. I want to do it a couple more times, guys, before I start offering it out there for everybody else to. Woohoo! Let's go. I'll share it when I know, understand, and exactly am comfortable with everything it does, and make sure there's no other problems. Right? I've got to. Let's tiptoe into this minefield. I personally don't think the circuit's going to hold, but we'll see. This guy's going to run the pants off this amp. That 500's already in service right now, getting its pants run off, so we'll see. Gentlemen, thanks to the Patreon supporters. Really, honestly, thank you. They're the reason that we got to be here without any commercials today. And really, they're what kind of keep the lights on around here, so I can spend multiple hours sticking around with something like this. So I say thanks to them. Thanks to Siglant, McMahon, Berg, Coaxial Dynamics. And a big thanks to all of you. All right, gentlemen, I got to get a bunch more cool projects coming up as I look around this room. There's just so many of them sitting here. I've got to get with it. I appreciate you, gentlemen. I'll see you. Click, click.